Okay, got it. Okay, sweet. So once this live stream is also set up, we got pretty much everyone here. Awesome. So here is our live stream link if you want to send it to someone. Okay, awesome. Sweet. I think we got pretty much everyone. I think, let me see, who are we waiting for? Yeah, we're waiting for Allison. We'll give another minute or two for Allison to join. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I am going to also send the link of our roster for everyone to get signed up. It's really great to see, like, you guys kind of going through all the 10 classes and starting like pretty much with like, bare bones to like now being able to like, be able to present a project which was written in Python. So that's amazing. We had a number of students who kind of diligently went through the first week, but the second week we kind of had a little bit of a drop off on them. So go ahead and mark yourself on the roster, and I'll start sharing my screen shortly. I would love to introduce you guys to Drew, and I know you guys probably already have met Cheryl. So we'll go through some introductions there as well. Okay, I am just.
Cool. Yeah, I can just give a little tidbit about myself if you'd like, Vaibhav. Nice to meet you all. My name is Drew. I am a product of one of Vaibhav's earlier internships, probably from like, I think 2016. And yeah, I work in DevOps engineering at a company called edX. We do education technology type stuff. So yeah, I do. I mean, my experience started in cybersecurity, and then kind of branched off to other kinds of development, secure development. And now I'm more just on the sort of like site reliability side. So yeah, hit me up with any questions you have. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to see the projects.
Nice to meet you, Drew.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So it's funny. I was just waiting for the website to load up here, but Drew did a great job of introducing himself. So if you kind of, I am going to quickly share my screen here and give you a little bit of so if you want to connect with Drew, he is he's always willing to help. He's been very supportive of the student journeys. He started pretty much through a community college system like you guys did. If you go on Cyber Defenders, you will see Drew's profile there. He's it's not the most up-to-date version, but he started from a community college system, and is now able to, work full time in technology. So, this is what we want from all of you guys, like, success, be able to kind of get from, where you are at right now, in early days of your STEM, to have a successful career in technology or science. And with what you learned in Python programming and problem solving in general, it kind of builds a foundation for you. I also wanted to introduce Cheryl. Cheryl, if you wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about, your journey with STEM, core and growth sector, and a couple of words of advice for the students here.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I think everybody on this call should know me or has seen my email or name in your inbox throughout your time with the STEM Core. But Cheryl Martinez, I'm the STEM program manager with Growth Sector. I have been working with the STEM Core program for, I just hit my 10th year. I was previously a student support specialist, which is your coordinator who recruited you to the STEM Core program on your individual campus. I did that for a number of years in Orange County. I'm here in California, and now I have the pleasure of working with, we're on over 30 campuses across the country. So I'm able to work with our students and our support specialists around the country, implementing the STEM Core program. One of the big focuses that I actually have is overseeing our internship program as well. So we're super excited to be able to provide our STEM Core students with internship opportunities. We collaborate and work closely with a lot of employer partners, from national labs to NASA centers, to even like local engineering firms. And something that we always hear from them is they want our students to be able to have exposure to programming. Specifically, Python is great. Hence why we have been able to work with ViBob over the last couple of years in order to implement the Cyber Defenders Academy. And like ViBob said at the beginning of this call, it's been, and I'm excited to see some of like what you've been able to produce, but being able to see from the orientation, where a lot of you were starting out with not very much experience, to 2 weeks later, to being able to put together some of these like really comprehensive projects. So super excited to be able to be here today. Obviously, you all will see and be hearing a lot of me throughout the year and your time with the STEM Core program. And just know that opportunities like the Cyber Defenders Academy don't end after today. We will be providing tons of like virtual workshops, employer talks from mentors who are going to be mentors for internships during the academic year and for summer 24. So just make sure that you're staying tapped into the network. Lots of opportunities coming up, and this is just the beginning. So congratulations for making it this far, and that we're excited to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cheryl. So I'll go through a little bit of logistics today. We'll start our presentations in 5 minutes or so. We have 5 presenters. So the number 1 to number 5 are listed here. I am going to share a link with the judges. And let me pull that one up here. So we're going to have the judges, which is Drew and Cheryl. Thank you so much for volunteering your time. Use this form. So you can use this form free flow, but here you will kind of see the project. You can see who your name. So Drew or Cheryl, you can pick one of those. And then you can pick the projects which are coming along. So first is Justin presenting task presets and so on and so forth. And then what I'm expecting you guys to kind of provide some feedback in, how do you think of the project overall? What did you like about it? And then more specifically, like, because this is not a competition, it's something they want to continue improving. So do you have any feedback for the presenter and the team? What kind of things you recommend they might learn more, explore what areas you think they can improve, things like that, which is critical feedback, but given in a positive way. So I'm actually going to share that link with you in the Zoom chat, Drew and Cheryl. Let me know if you see it fine.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, great. Cheryl, you have it as well. Okay, so and don't fret too much about taking notes or anything like that. Just anything you feel is useful for students to know from your perspective would be great if you can capture that, and you can come back and edit that as well. Okay, so we're gonna have the presenters screen share. They do have some code. As presenters sort of come along, I will share some of their code. If any of you guys are interested in looking at it, I'll share that in the chat. We'll give everyone about 10 minutes to present in total. If they want to go a few minutes over, that's okay. The core presentation should be about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we'll kind of have some time for 1 or 2 questions for each presenter. So with that, I think we have everyone here. Awesome, and I'm excited for everyone to join in. Oh, I also see Caleb joining us. Caleb, you're on?
I am.
Oh, that's great. I'm so happy. Okay, awesome. So our guest speaker today is Caleb Fenton, and let me see if Michael's there. Okay, so when our next speaker joins in, I'll introduce him as well. But Caleb's been a longtime supporter of a lot of things. You can kind of think of as him as, you know, ninja programmer in so many ways. He's very well known in the security community, and especially in Android hacking. Caleb is head of innovation at SentinelOne, which is a big brand name in security companies, recently acquired by Microsoft, right?
We had an IPO.
Oh, you had an IPO. Sorry. I thought like, yes, they had an IPO recently. He's been very gracious with his time. So I'll have him introduced, but Caleb, I'm also going to send this form to you if you are interested to judge any of the presentations. And you know, feel free to pick, I'll add your name shortly here, but feel free to give your feedback. I also want to show like LinkedIn profile. I'll share LinkedIn profile for Caleb if you guys are interested in getting in touch with him. But he is an advisor with us, and he's you know, among a lot of things, you know, he's done quite innovative work in the Bitcoin world. Can I say that? and mobile hacking world. So I'm super excited, and we are super excited, Caleb, to have you here. If you want to take a couple minutes, introduce yourself, say hi to the students.
Sure. Yeah, I used to hate introducing myself, but then I realized I didn't listen to people unless they had like impressive credentials. So I feel like I have to say something. By Bob, you've already done a good job with that. I've been programming for about 25 years. Like I went door to door when I was a kid and found people who could just teach me. And it's been like a passion. I love doing it. I love mastering it. And most of my professional experiences in cybersecurity. I did a lot of reverse engineering, malware analysis, particularly for Android, and building tools to help automate that and do that, generalizing solutions for it. One of them is called Simplify. and it's sort of a recreation of the Android operating system in a way that you can run programs inside of it, understand what they do, and then rewrite the code if the code has been obfuscated by malware authors. So that was a fun project. And I've also built a lot of stuff at work. What the innovation team does is we build new features and products. So when ChatGPT, like right before ChatGPT blew up, we had already been working on a cool tool we were calling Purple, where it's like a natural language interface to our data. And you can just ask questions of your data and we'll answer it for you. We'll turn it into the query language in the background. We built a network scanner. We built a machine learning based antivirus, which is pretty wild to see. Like normally it would take a room full of people to build an antivirus, but we did it with like 3 people in a month. It's just the way technology changes. Yeah, I think that's a good summary of what I've done.
Impressive.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, the students have been looking at some of the AI tools as well, like, but we've treaded on using it more so for understanding the code than writing code.
It's great for that.
Yeah. Sweet. I think Brian is also on. Brian, I don't know if you're on. Brian Koref is one of our guest speakers as well today. I don't know. Are you still with? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Awesome. So Brian, until recently, used to be Senior Director of Information Security at Intact Corporation. He's in middle of roles here, but he's currently consulting as virtual CISO. He's helped cyber defenders and be one of the mentors for a long time. In fact, a number of students from our program got some internship exposure through Intact, and one of them actually now works full-time at Intact. So thank you so much, Brian, for your support, and thank you for giving your time to us. It's very precious. Brian also has background as a veteran, so he kind of came to the technology world from his military service. I'll let him speak a couple minutes and introduce himself as well.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, I think my bio needs to be updated.
Yeah.
But,
Yes. Yes.
I moved on from Intact and was I was a CISO at SideSense, a data analytics company, until a couple months ago. And as you mentioned, I'm doing a lot of advisory and virtual fractional CISO work for some small companies. And my background is from the military. I was a computer crime investigator for many years. And while I don't have traditional programming background, the extent of my programming background is shell scripts, because I was a Unix system administrator for many years. And one of the things that a good system administrator does is write shell scripts to automate a lot of the mundane tasks that they have to do. And their boss typically thinks that they walk on water, when in reality, the script did everything for them. So, but I do have a lot of responsibility. I can talk about it later in regards to ensuring that code is written in a secure manner, that developers use clean and secure third-party libraries, meaning that they're free from vulnerabilities, and that they leverage safe license frameworks. What I mean by that are things like GPL versus LGPL. Those are things that most companies want to stay away from, versus some of the FreeBSD and some of the other licenses out there. This is becoming more and more paramount now. You'll see as you get it. I'm not sure if folks on this call, I know Caleb, I know you, but other folks on the call, if you work for a software company, you're gonna, at some point, you will be asked for your software bill of materials. It's becoming more prominent now, especially with some of the government executive orders and NIST directives and the focus on supply chain. This wasn't in the past. A couple of years ago, no one ever asked for software bill of materials. They didn't really care. They didn't think to ask for this information. but now it's becoming almost a rite of passage of sorts. So that's my focus now, is to make sure that the companies that I work for, that they're developing source code in a secure manner, choosing the right libraries, that the source code repositories themselves are secure and governed properly. So I can talk more about this later, but I just wanted to, focus on that as an intro of myself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yep.
So we will get started with student presentations. We're hoping the presentations will be about 50 minutes an hour. We have 5 projects. So first up is task presets, and it's Justin Somerville. Justin, when you're ready, let me know. I will stop sharing and have you share the screen. And Brian and Caleb, I'll shortly add your names to the feedback form. So you can also, you're welcome to add feedback for them. We will kind of go for about 10 to 15 minutes per project. So I'm going to stop sharing and have Justin start presenting. So task presets is an application he's worked on. He has he did have some exposure to Python before joining the program, but over the course, I've seen him kind of mature, writing unit tests, and actually be able to write this program in 2 weeks. So this Python Academy was only 10 sessions of 2 hours each. So what you're going to see today is students who didn't know any programming or were very introductory to the whole area of computer science and programming, being able to do a project in Python in matter of 2 weeks. So it might not be like the most complete or comprehensive project, but it's something which they've been able to do in 2 weeks, starting from zero. Sweet. Awesome. Justin, I'm going to stop sharing. Let me know when you can share your screen, or just go ahead and share your screen now and go ahead.
I want to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Hey, my name is Justin Somerville, and this is my final project for the Cyber Defenders Python Academy. So in this presentation, I will go over the problem, the solution, a showcase of the program in action, the code of the main functionality, and the future work that will be done on the project. So whenever you're creating a work routine, it is very common to have to open the same applications over and over again. Sometimes you would also turn off notifications on your computer. And as a programmer, I can really relate to that because, for example, whenever I program, I always open my IDE and have Google open just for extra research. Or sometimes whenever I'm creating a Discord bot, I would have my IDE and Discord open to work on it and have both applications open and ready to go. So my solution to this is the Task Presets program. This program is a program that saves the following into a runnable preset: a set of applications to open, an option to turn off certain or all notifications, and an option to close every other application. And this, I will show the program here. Okay, so when you first open the program, this is what it looks like. It's all empty with just a few buttons. Here is the Add Presets button. So we'll go ahead and add a preset here. So here you have to add a task preset name. I'll just call this demonstration. And then here is a whole bunch of settings you can change. So the first one is name. Right now you can't change this due to some issues with changing the name. So right now it's disabled. The second option is exit every other program. So here you have three options. You can never exit every other program. You can always exit, or the program will always ask before it does so. Currently this feature is not implemented, but it is planned to be implemented in the future. The next option is the focus mode. This option will turn off any notification that you get. This is also not implemented yet due to time and time, but it will be implemented in the future as well. Right now, there's only a checkbox because the idea to choose which notification you can get is pretty new and was made before, made before this was added. And then the last option is it's a task. So here you can add a task that you want to open when running this preset. So here you have a text box, and you can also get rid of the task preset here. So in the text box, you can either enter an executable or arguments for the command start command. Yeah. So we'll open Opera since that's the browser I use. So just by putting Opera here, this will open the Opera browser when I click on run. So we'll click on run. It might have opened in another. Okay, this might not work because I did change something very recently, but another way you could do it is to go to the application they want to open and get the .exe file path here and paste it, and then this will work. You couldn't see it, but it did open on my other monitor. And you can also add extra tasks. So let's go ahead and open this program, Visual Studio Code. Let's get the .exe file and then paste. Oh, I did not save it. Hold on. Okay, what? Oh, wait, I'm not sure what happened to the. Okay, I think I messed up there, but it's fine. I'm gonna open this instead. Okay. So in the future, I will add a feature where even though there's quotes, it won't matter. So now this will open IntelliJ as well as my Opera GX. I will close out of this, or actually it's okay. Okay, so that's the program in action. The code behind this is very simple actually. So here we have three main classes: the task class, the task preset class, and the task manager class. So the task manager class handles saving and loading the task presets into a list, and that's its main functionality. So here's the load, here's the save, and here you can add and remove task presets, and here you can get the task preset by name. And the task preset class is just a data class. it stores the name, the task, the focus mode, and the status of it, if it should close every task. And in the task class contains the name and the execution path. And that is the main functionality of this code. The other classes are just for utility. So the future work that will be done on this program. So there are a few bugs with this program right now. Right now, whenever you remove the task and it's empty, it kind of offsets this whole entire panel. So that's a bug that has to be fixed. I can't remember the other bugs right now, but I do have them all on GitHub. So if you want to see what's going to be improved and fixed, then you can check out the GitHub link. The next thing I'll do is add documentation. Right now in the main file, actually, I don't think I showed this, but the main file doesn't show much right now. And I do plan to refactor it and add more documentation to this. And then the next thing is refactor the code as I did show just now. It also needs tests. This program does not have any tests right now. That's something that I plan to do as I'm refactoring the code, because right now the code should be improved by a lot, and I'll make tests do that, because right now it's not very testable due to the structure of the code. And the last thing I'll do is add a quality of life implementations. So things such as a task configuration interface, like what I tried to show you guys earlier, where I just typed in Opera. You can actually do that through the run command on your Windows. So if you do run and you just type in Opera, and there'll be an argument that you can put in. So I'll just do google.com, and then it will open google.com. But I do plan to add another interface to make it more straightforward that you can do that. And then I also plan to add a list of default applications on your device. So for example, if you want to add a task, you will have a list of applications that you have installed already. So I have Opera, I have Discord, I have JetBrains Toolbox. It will show all of that in a list, and I don't have to worry about getting the .exe file. I can just click on that option. And there will also be extra settings in the menu, such as view or task. A view is meant to, a view is for like changing how the window looks to how you want it to. Right now, so for example, I could think that the text is too small. So I could have a view option where I can expand the text size, or I can have another option where I want to hide this, and so on. Actually, I can go ahead and close this. And tasks. So instead of having to input the .exe, and if it doesn't show up as a default program for some reason, then you can set a task. Not sure how to explain that one, but basically you'll be able to save a task. So for example, if if for some reason Opera GX didn't show up as a default application, and I will have to copy the .exe file a lot, then a solution to that is to create a custom task with a set name and a set execution path, and all I have to do is save that, and then it will show up in the list of applications to choose from in the settings, the task preset settings. There will also be keybinds, so you can set a keybind for each task preset, so you don't have to go through the window every time. You can just press a button or a combination of buttons to open the tasks or run the task preset. There also be an ability to resize the window. Currently, I wasn't able to do that because when I first started off making the program, I didn't know that it wasn't resizable, and in the way I programmed it, it doesn't look very pretty when it's resized. So that's something that has to be worked on. And the last thing that needs to be worked on is the feature to track actions. So like if I added a task preset, then it would track that. And if I wanted to undo that, then I can just press Control-Z and it will undo the action, basically. So my final words, the project will continue active development starting from today. And it'll be worked on pretty often from now, because this is a project that I really think will help a lot of people. And I have not seen any applications or at least any other public application that can do this. And there will be an executable file to run in the GitHub releases. So you don't have to download the project and run on your ID or something. And that's my project.
Silent Zoom clap.
Zoom clap. Thank you so much. Great job, Justin. Any questions for him?
I have one question. Thank you again, Justin, for the presentation. It's just remarkable to see like how much learning has taken place in such a short amount of time. And you can sort of like hear, I can sort of hear like the wheels turning as you were sort of like talking through what like the main pinpoints. And I'm just sort of curious from your perspective, what your biggest, like as you started from day one through today, when you talked about you'll continuously be editing, just some of like the biggest learning lessons that you can share with the group in terms of what you learned specifically from this project.
I'd say that the most important thing I've learned is really what resources I can find and just how to research for what I'm looking for, because as you're starting out, you don't really when people start out, I see a lot of people just starting out off of like YouTube, if they're self-taught, or classes if they're not self-taught. And it's really difficult to keep learning like that because not every YouTube video is going to have what you are looking for, and you won't always be able to contact your professor for help. So I'd say the best thing that I've learned is to just know how to research and know what resources to go to. That has helped me tremendously.
Half the battle. Thank you.
I have a quick question. I am just curious if there's anything that you anticipated being a little easier going into the project, that like as you started working on it, you found that piece to be a little bit more difficult or just maybe take more time than you anticipated, and like what that piece was? And if not, that's a good answer too.
Yes, I actually had a huge struggle with creating the window. I thought that the window would be like the easiest part. I actually have a console version right here. This is my first prototype before I made the window, just to make sure everything works. And then I thought the window was going to take like a day, but this has taken me like half the week so far.
Yeah.
And this does have the most lines of code. I am pretty sure I can make this a lot shorter, but yeah, this was definitely the feature that I thought would be the easiest, but it was actually the hardest for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did just want to say, I think that this is like a really good project. Like the scope of the project is really great for like this just the amount of time that you had to work on it. And it's cool because it gets you, like, this is a very useful tool in itself, and I can tell it's inspired by your use case. And then it gives you the opportunity to work out like GUI bugs and stuff like that too. So yeah, great work. I also wanted to say the call out to thinking about structuring for writing tests moving forward. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I think you have like the right mindset about the development cycle. So great work.
Thank you.
And I'll comment, like, Justin ended up using a fair bit of, features which is not taught in the class. Like, I saw in his code, he's using data classes, which is like one of the newest Python things. So he's been very, he's been a fast learner, and kind of for lot of projects we kind of did most of our work in Google Colab just for the ease of like the environment. But he took on the extra length of actually using this on command line, and like using a tickle interface instead of doing it in Google Colab. So great job. Awesome. So if there are no questions, I'm going to have the next group come up. So next up we have is, let me pull up the list here. Sorry about that. I think it's Michael and Esleen.
Yeah. Am I okay to just share my screen whenever?
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
So he will be sharing the screen, and I'll be talking while he shares the screen as well.
Okay. Awesome. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. Hello, everyone, classmates and professor, and also guests. My name is Esleen Villalta, and we have done our project called Recipe Finder. So the motivation for this Recipe Finder was because when I was living alone, I will find ingredients, and sometimes I didn't know what to make with them. Or I will go with the recipe, and then I will have some miscellaneous items, and I didn't, waste them. And sometimes I will just have a tomato or pasta or something else, but it will be miscellaneous. So I didn't have that idea how to come up with recipes. So that's one thing that I was talking with Michael before we started to code, but that would be a good idea to make. But at that time, none of us were having code experience. We just came up with that idea. Yeah, if you want to have something.
My name is Michael, and I pretty much had a similar motivation, just kind of wanting to cook something, but you're given, or you're not really given anything, but you don't really know where to start. So we were kind of thinking that if you could, in a sense, ask, some sort of app, or obviously you can just ask like the internet, but you could insert, an ingredient, kind of a general ingredient, and be given like a list of possible meals you can make with that ingredient.
Yeah.
And, so how it works is essentially you the code asks for user input. It asks you, what would you like to cook with? You then enter anything, for example, a type of meat like chicken, beef. You could enter a vegetable, lettuce, kind of various ingredients. And the recipe finder, the way we've made it and kind of where we're pulling the information from, it also allows you to enter like, you can enter Christmas or Thanksgiving, and it'll, based on what's available, it will give you ingredients for those. Sorry, it'll give you ingredients for those holidays or occasions. And like the end result is kind of, it just produces a dictionary of meal names, and then for the keys, and then the values are their corresponding URLs that will take you to those recipes.
Mhm.
Maybe we do the things to improve actually at the end.
Yeah, so they can see when we are
Yeah,
testing it.
so-
Yeah.
So our code, it's still pretty like raw. Definitely some improvements could be made, and it's not like fully implemented to the point where it looks nice, I guess. So we had to import some various modules.
And I will
yeah.
start, if you want, with the cell 44, I believe. So we were thinking, okay, so what do we need in our code to get this information? So the first thing that we wanted to do is to get the URLs from this website. The website is called All Recipes. And then as we were going through our code, we decided, okay, so we want the attributes from the link to start with the href. And then those links ends with a quotation. Yes, with a quotation. So so we want them to store in a list. So we were able to get that in the list. So for the next code, for the recipe finder.
Yeah, so we took the source code and then we kind of went through it and pulled out all the URLs and put them into a list. And then with the next code, the function recipe finder, we made it so that the keyword that you enter, if it's found in one of the URLs that was made from the previous codes list, it would take all of those URLs and put them into a new list. And we did run into a couple issues where it's like we were getting a bunch of duplicates. So that led to the next function.
Yeah, so we were we noticed that we were getting a lot of URL duplicates. So what we decided to do is make a function to remove the duplicates URLs by calling the previous function recipe finder. So that can be stored in a new list called no duplicates. So
and then after that, we took the list that was created from the duplicate remover function, and then we looped through that list. We split all the items, and then we basically took just the dish names at the end of all the URLs. It has like the explicit dish name, and we just wanted to take all those out so that our dictionary would include all those names, and it would make more sense. And then, so that led to our next. We did get a little help on this one. We were kind of having some trouble iterating through like each item in the list, because we were just running into some issues where we would turn it into like we would break the list and turn it into a big string, and then we kept just ending up with like a few names, a few dish names, and then a bunch of like empty quotations, and we're kind of messing around with that for a while to try to get it to return what we actually wanted. So
yeah,
we did go per the recommendation from our professor, we kind of looked on ChatGPT, and it produced like, it told us, it wasn't exact, but you could take kind of like this, split it here, and then this instance here, it was very general, so we kind of had to still tweak it to make it work how we wanted, but yeah, it was pretty helpful. And then
Yes.
this is the final code.
Yes, so in this code, and it's asking already the user to input an ingredient. So what we did is to store our two functions, duplicate remover and extract dish, to have an output where it says the ingredient that you input, and then the links next to it of what the recipes that you can make with that ingredient. And then I think if you can demonstrate.
Yeah,
that.
so this is the final output. There are definitely a couple bugs. So example, if you enter, you want to cook with beef, it will, here's some recipes including beef. If you want to make filet mignon, you click on this link, it takes you to filet mignon. And obviously this is just all based off of allrecipes.com. Yeah.
The things
there
that
are, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, the things that we wanted to improve in going with our slides is that if we put tomatoes, let's say tomatoes as a plural, I believe it gives you an error.
Yeah, well, so it's kind of weird. Tomato, we still have to obviously make it a little better to where we're not entering explicitly tomato salad, but tomato is in this string here. And obviously it's a little, this part here could be improved because it's saying it can't find any recipes for it. I think that's just because it thinks this is not this, although tomato is in there. It's not, exactly how it's written in the dictionary. But you can enter, beans, similar thing. It'll say, I can't find recipes. I think that's somewhat easily fixable, but it pulls up, you want to make some refried beans. There you go. It pulls up recipes. I think overall it works pretty good.
Yeah, and something that we got for free is the holiday thing. We didn't anticipate that.
Yeah, those were just links that were included in the source code. So
yeah,
like the holiday occasions, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think we were also able to fix something if if you input the name of, the ingredient with uppercase and lowercase, will still read it.
Yeah, that actually,
I think you did.
that ended up not working out how we intended. But,
okay.
I think overall, so that's our whole project. Obviously we did include a tester. I don't know, it could probably definitely be improved, but you put in a various item, it runs through, and if it finds it in there, it says it passed. Party, an occasion is pretty general, but we're thinking party.
Yeah,
it can't find anything including party, something's wrong. Like I said, though, I think that could be improved too, to make it a little more concise and just more legitimate when it comes to actually.
And on the bottom, we have only early code that we were trying out.
This was all just
work, but
testing and kind of raw stuff before we turned it into functions. There definitely are some things we can improve.
We were thinking to put it into a class, but we ran out of time, so I thought we'll leave it as it is for now, while we're still improving our code. And perhaps, I'm not sure it will be okay, but maybe later on put it into class. Also, another thing, so our idea starting off was to input the ingredients that you have the miscellaneous items, right? Like, for example, tomato, bell pepper, and other ingredients at the same time,
Yeah.
spacing them up with a comma. But that was one of the things that we want to improve later on, because it was difficult, even just getting the keywords in the code.
Yeah, we tried it first. Well, initially, our initial idea was to input multiple ingredients.
Mhm.
And then as we were making the code, we kind of just started building it based off in taking in one ingredient just for the sake of actually getting it to work first. And then we did try to make it take in more than one ingredient. And sometimes it worked, but it was just a little weird. Like we weren't getting the proper output that we wanted. And we could also, we could use more try and accept blocks to kind of just catch small issues. Like Eslin was saying, if you enter beef in all caps, it's going to say like it can't find that. I think it's a somewhat easy problem to fix. But then also other things, just as like if you enter wait a second. Sorry, I was completely blanked.
No worries. So we were also thinking, so we were using this website, allrecipes.com, but we could thinking to expand the range of where we get the data from. In my when we presented the idea to professor, we were thinking that we can include, an intermediate, I'm sorry, beginning, intermediate, and advanced level, vegan friendly, and such. So those are the things as well that we could improve by widen our range of data where we get it from.
Yeah, I think just making it more specific and just more options, like Eslin was saying, kind of like easy to difficult recipes, just to kind of accommodate everyone and give you more specific options.
Yeah.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yes.
That's great. Awesome. Great job. Any questions for Michael and Eslin? It's great to see, like, you got a free feature out of out of your data set. That's awesome. Sweet. I see.
You all just addressed it at the end in terms of, sorry, great job. This is like really cool. I could see many like people, I was thinking college students, but we all have issues. So definitely a great problem that's out there that needs to be solved. You all addressed it right at the end in terms of adding more options. And I was going to note the same thing, if you had looked into people with like dietary restrictions and
that's a good
option. Yeah. And then on top of that, I know we only had 2 weeks to get all of this done, but then also if there are any like competitors out there that you found or anybody doing something similar that you can talk about.
Yes, I did. I have this, we'll have this idea like for a year or something. And then I decided one day to go online and see if somebody already got that idea. They did, but they are just, I believe there are only 2 apps available. So I cannot recall the name, but they are also basic, just like mine. So, ours, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then like as far as looking into like people with like dietary restrictions and stuff, I think we could somewhat easily do that, maybe by just changing like some keywords. I don't know if even just like if you were to type in vegan, I think it's all kind of just based on the source that we're pulling from. But kind of like we said, ideally we would want to be pulling recipes from a much wider range than just one website. just for the sake of more options. And
Mhm.
No, and the good thing is the way you guys use Recipe Finder is quite creative, and like you're also not scraping the whole website so they don't like block you out. So you're just
Yeah.
doing enough that you get interesting data, because that's a big problem when you're trying to look at other people's content.
Yeah, I think we were kind of running into that one issue that I was telling you about, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's solved. So
Yeah, thank you for the tip.
Yeah.
Helping us with the code. Yeah.
I just want to say great work. I think I only had one question early on, which was if you guys were having to do any like deduping, and you guys answered that. So it sounds like this. I think overall this is a really good project, because it's like there's a lot to continue to build off of. Like there's a lot of ideas around usability. I think like also overall, I just want to say like the presentation you guys just gave was really great, because you spoke to a lot of just the whole process, what worked for you, what didn't work, and like what you did when that didn't work. So yeah, I just want to say great work on this. And I would encourage you both to consider continuing to work on it, just because I think there is like a lot of stuff that you could add that would be good learning opportunities.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Cool.
I've got one comment.
Mhm.
And I've observed this in other, areas of technology, and that is the concept of not recreating the wheel. And what I mean by that is that there's and I see that myself, and I'll just talk about in the cybersecurity space. I see that there's some companies out there that have developed a product that it's decent, but what it really does is it fills a gap in another company's product. And what they end up doing is they know that they recognize that a Palo Alto firewall, for example, doesn't do a good job at this or that. So they spin up a company and they develop a product that fills the gap, and then they just sell it back to Palo Alto. And there's a lot of that goes on in industry. And so when I pivot back to this, and I'm a big fan, I love to cook. And I've even seen some apps where you can take a picture of the contents of your refrigerator, and the AI, that's the big buzzword now, right? AI will categorize and recognize what you have in your refrigerator, and then give you some ideas on what to cook with what you have just in your refrigerator, just by taking a picture. So there are some apps out there, but there's some gaps. Like for example, someone mentioned that one of the gaps might be that they don't cater to people with certain dietary restrictions. Maybe you're diabetic, so there's certain meals that you'd want to prepare that have low sugar content, or maybe calories. If you're a calorie counter, I want to create a recipe that is below 1,000 calories. So those are if you find similar applications, similar services or applications, but they lack something like that, then that's where you can capitalize. And that's what I mean by not recreating the wheel is find some sort of open source, application that, and then add to that. And that's I see software companies being very successful, in the industry by recognizing weaknesses in someone else's application and then capitalizing on that.
This is an excellent advice. Thank you so much.
But I love this. I love the idea. I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what can I make at home without having to get in my car and drive to the store? And and it's a great idea.
Work with what you have. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was ultimate goal, to at least make it a little more kind of like you said, like if you have some meat and various items.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it include more than just one ingredient. And there's obviously still work to do, so we could improve that. But thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Yep. Good job. Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Sweet. All right. We will move on to the next one. So great, thank you. So next up is Allison, we're doing contact information web scraper. So Allison, whenever you're ready. Perfect.
Hello, everyone. This is my Contact Us Web Scraper project for the Cyber Defenders, and my name is Allison. So my reasoning to create a Contact Us page web scraper came from when I was doing research on what universities I should be attending after meeting a counselor. And I realized that I was manually putting in all the different contact informations of the websites I was looking into. And so I thought to myself that maybe we could make a web scraper that could kind of put it all in one place and that could save time in organizing it. So the idea was to create code that would ask the user to enter a link of a CSU or UC and maybe later on just like a regular website. And so there would be a web scraping that would go to the Contact Us page of that website and then go get the contact information. And then the output with that would be that it returns a dictionary of the UC or the CSU's email, and if there are people there, their email as well as like their role. Like if they were like a student assistant or if they were a director of a part of campus. And then it would also include like the phone number and the hours of the university. And so the program that I was making, it hasn't really been made into like a function yet because I was still trying to figure out how to work with HTML and Beautiful Soup. So here I was looking into the website of UC Irvine. And first I grabbed the link and then installed the other packages like Beautiful Soup, Request, the URL lib. And so in this portion of the code, it was just getting this link and finding the contact page through it. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but here in this area where my mouse is pointing, this is basically what that part of the code got. And so it would, that link would be the Contact Us page. And so then I created a different soup with this new link, which is now the Contact Us page. And then this is what we're going to be working through. And so here I was able to get the email address of the of the website by going through it, and also the telephone number. There's some issues with the formatting that I still haven't figured out with trying to split it and everything. So part of the future aspects of the project is working on how to make it look cleaner or how to kind of take it more efficiently. And also I was able to get the hours of when the campus was open as well as the seasonal hours. They're all kind of color coded here, and also when they would be closed. And so for a feature, I was thinking of turning this into an actual function where you would just enter it and it would just return output, and kind of improving the if conditions of the code, because I know this for some of them that maybe there's not even a Monday for them to look through in the elements and stuff that would be in the hours page. So just trying to figure out what's the most effective kind of conditions to set to make the code look through it. And also fixing the output format so it doesn't have like the HTML kind of still in there, but the way it's written, like the /XA0 and everything. And so that's part of the things I'll be working on, as well as having all the URLs be returned in a dictionary. So when it says the key would be hours, and then the values would be the hours, or the key would be the person's name, and then the values would be their role and then their phone number information. And if I would be able to do that, I try next maybe creating a data frame so that it could also be organized in maybe a different way, because I've worked more with pandas and I'm more comfortable working with data frames and dictionaries, but I'd like to kind of learn more on how dictionaries work and make it organized that way. And so I'd also like to try running it with other UCs and CSUs that I'm interested in attending, such as San Jose State and UC Berkeley and UC Davis, and maybe just trying it on different websites to see how that works out. So there's a lot of going back and forth that I still have to do, as well as learning more about HTML and VS4 methods just to make sure I can make it more efficient. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Caleb. The college websites suck. This is super useful. I would have loved to have this when I was like applying to UCs and CSUs. So really great work. I'm curious, do you like what kind of other like I can tell you've done some data work or you're talking about pandas, like what kind of other projects have you done before?
A project I've done before was for Skyline has a class called Introduction to Python. And in that class, it uses the UC Berkeley's library of kind of methods and data frame that the UC Berkeley people made up. And so my project was taking the UC Berkeley code and kind of finding the equivalent codes that are like just pre-existing codes that exist. So that's how I learned a lot, like, oh, what's the equivalent of the dot group in the UC Berkeley code? Oh, that's dot group by, and then to get bar graphs, you'd use dot count values and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, okay, cool. The presentation was really great. You seem really comfortable talking through the code and explaining it. And so yeah, keep it up. I think the next steps that you defined too show just like a really good outlook for what features would be useful on this kind of tool. So nice work.
Thank you.
Some right.
Yeah, there's probably other information you could extract out of a college website too. Contact names are one of them, but if I sat down and I came up with the 10 questions I'd want to answer from my university's website, 0 of them were easily answerable from clicking around. It was always buried 17 links into it. So if you like automated extracting that stuff out and putting it on a nice user interface, that people would use it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you for the ideas.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you, Allison. Great job. You know, it's always you know, she ended up using Beautiful Soup. It's a little bit dated library on like, you know, it was invented or made in the world of XML. But you know, you did a great job of you know, getting through all the challenges you ran into. Sweet. Awesome. So next up is Rodolfo. The project is Kemi, a laboratory assistant, and he probably also has a bonus where he's going to share some music he created with Python as well. So go ahead, Rodolfo.
How we doing, everyone? All right, so basically what I created, here, let me share my screen. All right, so this is Kemi. Can everybody see it okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All righty, so Kemi is a laboratory assistant designed for chemical engineers like myself. Basically, when dealing with chemicals, it's very important to have all the information, make sure you're not mixing anything that you're not supposed to, the material safety data sheets, all that stuff. So when you're working with the elements, you know, Kemi is a powerful tool that will be able to assist chemists handling chemicals, the proper handling and manufacturing of chemicals. The goal is to provide, oh, that's in the way. 1 second. The goal is to provide a program that can recognize chemical compounds and information, mixtures, and the relative interactions with other chemicals, right? So if we go into the code here, can you see it still?
All good.
All righty. So here we have, I have input all the elements in the periodic table. So it gives us data when, for example, we put symbol for hydrogen, right? And it's gonna give you the element, it's gonna give you the symbol, the atomic number, the atomic mass, the category it's in, which is a non-metal. And if you want to continue, you can continue. If you want to, let's try here. Let's try another one. Let's try here. Let's try a good one. This is that's for gold. It tells us again what it is, the symbol, the atomic number. If you want to continue, you can continue. If you want to quit, you put exit. And also I added test cases just to make sure that the information is coming in okay, so I had multiple test cases to make sure that everything is coming out. One of the issues that I had while doing this is the periodic table. I actually manually put in all the elements because I couldn't find a periodic table that would work with my program. So this is something like Cami, but it's a little bit different. It doesn't do what I'm trying to do. For example, the chemical mixtures. Can you guys see all the windows when I'm going through? Yeah, okay, just make sure. So my main focus is to get something that records reactions. That's what I really want. So right now, what it does, the basic functions is just this, which it pretty much shows you the data information. Later on, where's my slide? Guys, I think I lost my slide. Oh, here it is. All right. So the program operation is you input the chemical, you get the chemical element information, chemical element mixture input, that's for the future, and then you're going to get the new chemical interactions. You're going to be able to use this in a laboratory setting, a professional laboratory setting, student laboratory settings, and teacher settings. What I would like to add to this is the chemical reactions, material safety data sheets, and the mixtures database, and maybe some like formulas that we can add. And that is Chemi. How do I stop this?
Making things less likely to explode is cool.
Yeah, that's very, very important. Less liability. I will need that.
How did you get all of the periodic table of the elements data?
So I went to 3 different databases, right? And there's different data sets on, for example, there's a periodic table, and then I kind of went through a dictionary. So I didn't use the data sets, but I used dictionary, and the dictionary gave me all the information that I needed. Well, I'm gonna put more, but this is something actually. This is the second prototype, because the first one, like, I was going in loops, and I was like, Mr. Bantari, what would I do? And he's like, keep it simple. I'm like, okay. So, and then the song that I promised you guys, I gotta show you because I finished it last night. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna be so happy. Here, let's share the screen again.
So Rodolfo, when you share the screen, make sure you enable sound sharing. That's you'll see a little button down there.
Advanced. Oh, got it. Sound share. Boom.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Here. Okay. Password. Uh-oh. You guys hear it? Are we there?
I don't hear anything.
No, I'm not playing yet.
Yeah.
Here, let's nope. That's this window. All right, let's see. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Guys
So
got it?
just a little bit of context. One of the fun things we did is we learned a little bit JavaScript, and we tried to use the ear sketch, which kind of helps you create some music. And you can either use Python or JavaScript. We did some JavaScript, but students like Rodolfo also, ended up doing Python in this environment. So this is a environment developed by University of Georgia, but it's really cool. Good.
All right, get your dancing shoes on, guys.
Let go, cause you never know what's in store, Mr. Entrepreneur.
And that is it.
That was
Is that
really
you at the
good.
end?
Nice. You get a bonus. You did 2 projects. Great
right.
job. We should bookend the presentations with this music track.
That's the summer pythons.
A summer Python's tune. Nice job. Nice job. Any questions for Rodolfo?
I just hope future plans include integrating the songs somehow.
I-
But yeah,
Get a
great
good
work.
lawyer. Get a good lawyer to write the terms of use. So you're not liable for anything that goes wrong.
You can't play music in the lab.
Awesome. Great job, guys.
Everyone.
Cool. Great job. Sweet. So I think coming up, our last presentation is Michael, Vehicle Maintenance Manager.
Should I start sharing now?
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Okay. Can you see it? Is it up there? Actually, don't.
So you want to share your screen?
Oh, wait, hold
So at the bottom, you will see like a green button called share screen. Does that work?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, awesome.
Can you see it?
Yep, great.
Okay, cool. So hello everybody. My name is Michael Lee, and my project for the Summer Pythons is a vehicle maintenance manager. So with this program, users are going to be able to register their vehicles with the program. They'll be able to track and schedule maintenance at specific intervals, and they can even save the vehicle information to a dedicated file and request and list any information regarding important vehicle recalls. So the problem is digital service records for modern vehicles are mostly only available by brand through brand specific apps. So like if you have a BMW, you have to get a BMW app. Like it's not one centralized shareable system that can be used to transfer information to others, especially when purchasing a vehicle. Like oh crap. Getting like vehicle service history, if you can't get the information directly from the former owner, you usually have to pay like a lot of money to get a full service record and vehicle history report. So with this, you'll be able to, it'll document all of your maintenance intervals, any repairs that need to be done, and you can share that with users and other people who may be interested in possibly purchasing the vehicle. And this will make maintenance scheduling more convenient, accessible, and easy. And overall, it should make car ownership more interactive and easy to understand. And it'll provide coherent and accessible documentation. For implementing it, the program is going to start off by gathering the required data from the user to use for various functions throughout the program. It's going to create lists and iterate through them for specific vehicle profiles and data. And the crap. And the program will list any requested information that the user requires. So let me show that to you now. I was testing it a little bit. So it's got two classes currently. Vehicle registration, maintenance manager. They're pretty long. It's a lot of displaying data. A lot of what makes it so long is there's a lot of data validation, which I'll show you. Here are the classes. So let's run. What do you mean? Oh. So first it takes you to a menu and it's got all the types of things you can do. I've already entered a few vehicles, but we can just do a new one. And I'll show you the data validation. So like if you put in like for the year 09, enter a valid year. Enter a valid year. And you can't enter any year over the current year. I used the date and time thing. So like what, 2040, can't do that. Let's do 2011. The VIN number, it has to be exactly 17 characters. And you can save your vehicle to a file. And I already have a file in here, but we're just gonna overwrite it. And let's see. Here it is right here. It's got your vehicle, the make, the model, the year, and the VIN number. And if you want to, you can add a second vehicle. I'm sorry that it keeps like scrolling back up. Sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. And you can even add a new vehicle to the file as well. So if you close this, boom, you have two vehicles and you can save this file and do whatever you want with it. So if you press 2, it lists the vehicles. So current registered vehicles, the name, the make, the model, the year, and the VIN. And if I press 3, it doesn't have I haven't been able to implement the full maintenance scheduling thing because of time constraints. So it'll just say scheduling maintenance right now. And if we select 4, I can select which vehicle I want recall data on. So if you type in 1, it'll say the number of recalls for the current vehicle. So for the Toyota Corolla 2011, it's 9 recalls. And if you press yes, if you want to view detailed information, it prints the whole summary from the NHTSA database of recalls regarding the current vehicle. And if you press 5, it terminates. So that's the whole program. I do still plan to work on it a lot because I found it really interesting when I was I didn't think I would get as into it as I did. So let's see. For future plans, I like the idea of allowing users to create profiles with their specific vehicle info and like having it so you can log in and log out and stuff like that. And I'd prefer to turn it into like a GUI with like actual buttons and stuff. And eventually implement it into an app format that you can use on your phone. And you can create reminders, and it can work with the calendar embedded in your phone to set calendar dates. It'll create a pre and post summary of maintenance tasks done. And it'll be a centralized, accessible, trackable, and shareable data on vehicle history. So thank you for listening to my presentation. That's everything.
Awesome. Great job. Great job.
Where do you get the recall information?
I get it from the NHTSA database. So like it's where is it? I have to share my screen again.
Go ahead.
So where is it? They have like a link to get the API and all the information.
Use the API?
Yeah, I access the API. It's on like
Cool. Yeah, instead of making a GUI, which is pain, I think anyone who has ever made a GUI knows this, you can make a web app, which might be harder to figure out how to do all the the web server stuff, but it's a little bit easier to work with HTML than whatever the GUI libraries are out there.
Cool.
And it's easier to share with people too.
Ah, cool. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Hi,
we
Michael. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
go ahead, Drew. I was just gonna mention, like, we didn't get into web programming or like using any of the web server because it's its own kind of can of worms. But there is now a lot of like these Python packages which let you kind of build a web app all in one. So, but we didn't get into that. Cool. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I just want to say great work, Michael. I'm curious if you are like, what made you want to make this kind of tool? Like, do you have any background in automotive stuff?
Yeah, I really like cars and stuff like that. And I think modern day car ownership is kind of antiquated. Like, despite cars being so modern and everything, ownership is just kind of very spotty, very all over the place. People hardly keep like the files, the maintenance records and stuff like that. So I just want to make it more accessible and easy for for everyday people to use and understand. And especially with the vehicle history sharing,
Right.
like I myself am currently in the market for a car, and I am so surprised that you have to like pay for vehicle history and stuff like that. And so like if there was just some system where users could like share the data with each other and stuff like that, it would just be more like open.
Right. I agree. I think that's like actually really important. And I could tell, like, by the way you were talking about it initially, just the call outs to like obtaining service history and stuff, like it seems like you researched or just have experienced this issue. So I think this is a really good just idea for a project in general. And I think like the execution is really, really strong. Like you're doing a lot of different things in the program. You're using the API, you're writing to like to file system and validating input and stuff. So great work making it like a holistic CLI program. Looks really good. Yeah.
One comment I have is, and I'm not sure if everyone did this, but the topic of data validation. And you're going to hear when you hear me talk, I'm going to come from a place of security. So data validation, of course, is one of the more important aspects of coding, right? You want to make sure that your application is doing proper validation of input, because there's all sorts of very interesting attacks out there, everything from injection attacks to cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery. They're all predicated on the fact that people aren't validating the input that people enter into various fields in an application. So the fact that you're actually doing input validation, even at a basic level like that, is for me music to my ears. And also it's also refreshing. It seems like you have a passion for vehicles, and it's always great when you follow your passion, if this is truly your passion.
Yeah, it's definitely my passion.
Yeah. So if you want to, I'm not sure how helpful I can be. I know an individual I used to work for as a CEO for a company called ShopMonkey, and you can look him up, and I can put you in contact with him. I'm not sure if he has any, whether it's internship programs or anything else available, but that's his passion as well. And when you follow your passion, it just seems like everything kind of falls into place.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
he also has like an auto repair.
Yeah, you can look
software.
him up. It's shopmonkey.com, I think is the URL, and you can look it up, him up. He's I know the CEO of the company. We work together at of all places, Intact, where which is the company that's in my bio. That it's a company that I worked for several years ago, but he was I think he was in marketing or something like that. But he has a programming background and a passion for automobile repair, and he started his own company.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'd love to like talk to him and see if he has like internships or something.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can make an intro. I can't promise anything. All I can do is make an intro.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great job. So guys, I'm gonna take a minute here and really kind of acknowledge all the projects you guys did. And doing this in like 2 weeks from zero to actually having something shareable is a great stride forward. And so number of things we covered in the class as next steps is, as you kind of continue your journey, we are going to offer, and I know Caleb can probably talk a little bit on that. We're going to offer like a monthly 1 hour problem solving session in Python, where you guys can join in. So I'll share the link of the group in the Discord. And so if you guys want to join in, that would be great. Just join that Discord. And just also want to kind of phrase it in vague with, you'll find one of Caleb's blog on this. It's like the idea of code kata, where you're practicing programming with a concrete problem for an hour or two, or like 30 minutes as well. But the idea is what we'll be doing is we'll kind of get together, pick a problem from like one of the Peter Norvik's PyTudes or something like that. when we'll solve the problem together, and everyone kind of, does their work, and we kind of exchange ideas. But that's something which will help you continue, improving your programming skills. One of the concepts we introduced in the program was this idea of mental models, and the whole idea of programming is actually to solve problems. I will have Caleb and Brian kind of take some time and talk about what's their professional experience been in, how to be a good problem solver. We talked a lot about mental models in the class, but it will be great to kind of see from their experience what the mental models are. Before we jump into that conversation, I wanted to acknowledge your work and share certificates with you. I don't know what's the best way to do it. I was experimenting earlier with this idea of taking a photo. So I'm going to share the certificate on here, and then maybe we all acknowledge you guys' work. You will also get an email with the PDF of your certificate for completing the course. So maybe we go in order, and maybe Cheryl, you want to kind of say a few words before we get into certificates and how the program went.
Yeah, no, I mean, this has just been so impressive to see everything that you have done, like we keep saying, in such a short amount of time, and just hearing sort of like the confidence in all of you as you're presenting your work, but also your passions in terms of just like being able to see like the differences in terms of what your interests are and how you're applying what you've learned to that. So and that's what the world's looking for, right? Is problem solvers, whether this is your direction, even if it's not going into coding, you have like this background that is so applicable to like everything related in STEM. So I'm super proud of all of you. And just know as well that a big part of why we partner with Vibob and why we're able to, or why we work to offer workshops like this and academies like this is because we know for a fact that this is what a lot of our employer partners are looking for. You all are putting yourself in such a great place. Before your fall 23 semester has even begun, you have this under your belt. Hopefully, we are going to be offering a STEM resume writing workshop on September 8th, and your support specialist will be working with you throughout the semester to make sure your STEM resumes are put together. But this is going to be front and center, and I hope that you make it a point to articulate like what you did during the Cyber Defenders Academy and also your projects. And it never hurts to be able to save these projects so that when an interview comes up, if you have it pulled up on your screen, being able to tell them what you did, but also being able to show them what you did. Maybe Rodolfo, if you're ever going to play like that song, you can always show the proof is in the pudding. Y'all have done it. You've done the work, and congratulations again. But this is super impressive. So great work, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. So congratulations, Esleen. I'm gonna
Thank you.
For completing. Congratulations, Michael. Congratulations, Michael J. Congratulations, Allison. And congratulations, Justin. Great job, all of you. And then last but not least, congratulations, Rodolfo. So great job. I wanted to kind of keep some time. We might run a 5 minutes over if that's okay, but really kind of give you guys a little bit perspective from Caleb, Michael, Drew, Cheryl, all you guys' perspective on like if you were to summarize one or two key things which help you problem solve, and they can be just problem solve in general, or they can be in context of like coding and programming. that would be great for students to hear, and for everyone to learn from, like what you treasure as your mental model for solving hard problems, right? So I'll start with Caleb and kind of get some thoughts.
Okay, and I have a presentation I could share after this, but I could distill it to 1 or 2 points.
So yeah, let's do that, and we'll keep some time for the presentation towards after this. Yes.
Oh, okay. So the presentation is basically what I'm going to say now. But for problem solving, like there's really no substitute for just doing it. Like one thing I really liked, and I was telling Vaibhav this earlier, is that everyone is focusing on stuff they could do to make their project better, and do it. Make it better. All that like dream wish list that you've been making for your projects, do those things and work on it for a couple of weeks or a month, and then come back and rewrite it in a month. And if you can't rewrite it and it be totally better and different, then you were asleep or something. Like you should be able to rewrite it and it'd be a lot better. So I would just encourage you to keep doing it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. And we'll keep some time for the presentation as well. Thank you. Michael? Sorry, Drew. Sorry, not Michael, Drew.
Yeah, hey, let's see. So sorry, I was just filling out my forms there. We're just speaking towards what was it exactly?
So I just ask a question, like if there is like 1 or 2 problem solving techniques which you treasure as your go-to technique or your mental model when you come up with like a harder problem, or any tips you would have in terms of problem solving.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I would kind of echo what Caleb said. I would say also in tandem, like there is so much information that gets thrown at us that it can be really easy to want to move on from something that you're working on, and not iterate or give yourself the time to try it in a different way. And I would say if like with these projects in particular, like there's a lot of good stuff, good learning opportunities to continue building with. So yeah, run with that. I would say also in tandem, part of being able to like work on something for an extended amount of time includes like giving yourself a bit of a break if you need. So, be willing to take a step from it, a step away from it, but also know that like you're doing that so that you can kind of come back with a fresh mind. And yeah, I would say I'd just keep working at keep iterating until you feel like the improvements that you've made are like really what you kind of were thinking about when you first started,
Awesome. Thank you. Brian?
I think instead of providing advice on problem solving, I think I'll throw this out at you, and it won't take long. And I like to throw analogies out there. And my focus is cybersecurity, and other folks on this call, their focus is cybersecurity as well. So I was kind of thinking about what kind of theme I could throw out, and I'll pivot back to Michael and Eslin's presentation on food. And I love food. And so think about this. If you're a developer, what goes into a program? You've got ingredients and you've got your recipe at a very high level. So if you're responsible for collecting your ingredients to create a program, think about it in the concept of food. Let's say that you're preparing to bake a cake. And what are the ingredients? You've got eggs, you've got milk, sugar, flour, baking soda, baking powder. But let's say that you open your refrigerator and you look at the milk and it's spoiled. The date on the carton is bad. It's a month old. You pour it out, it's all clumpy and smells like yogurt. You know that, but you choose to use it anyway, and you bake your cake. Well, likely that cake's probably not going to taste very good, and it'll likely get people sick if they eat it. So So you as a baker, you have a responsibility to go to the store and get a fresh carton of milk, and so that when you bake your cake, it's going to be clean. So think about that in the concept of a software as a developer as well. You have an obligation to use secure, whether if you're writing a program, to make sure that you're writing in a secure manner, or if you're using third-party libraries, which what most people do these days, make sure that you're choosing a library that represents something secure. Because if you don't, then it's likely that the application that you're creating or contributing to could be vulnerable, and it could impact your customers' ability to do business. So as a developer, you have an obligation, you're empowered, and most companies, you're expected to choose secure libraries and write secure code. And that's if nothing else, that's the security advice that I have to impart on you today. Great job, everyone. I think everyone is in a great position here. Software programming, engineering, especially in the AI space, if that's what you're interested in, seems to be the way to go these days. I'm just blown away at the salaries that are being given out to AI programmers. If I had to go back in time, that's probably what I would do. And that's nothing to stop me from doing that now either. But you're in a great position, great job, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. I shared LinkedIn's for Caleb, Brian, Drew, and Cheryl. Thank you so much for your time. We will run maybe 5 minutes over. So I know we planned between 10 to 10:30 to have some guest conversation, but we kind of split it across. But having said that, I know, Brian, if you wanted to take 5 minutes and present something, you're welcome to do that. And Caleb, if you want to take 5 or 10 minutes and present something, you're welcome to do that. I would love for you guys to be able to kind of, take some screen time to share your thoughts deeper as well.
I'll yield my time to Caleb.
Okay, awesome. There you go.
Thank you, distinguished gentlemen. It feels like we're in the Senate hearings now.
Nice.
Let's see, I'll share my screen.
Good.
It's only 5 slides. We'll get to
Okay.
this.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So a little bit of historical perspective, where you guys are right now. I know there was some mention of ChatGPT. I want to tell you why I think it's okay to use it. In the beginning, there was assembly. Everybody programmed in assembly. That was very hard. Very few mortals can program in assembly. Then there became C, C++, quote unquote, high level languages. And now you're using Python. What you might not appreciate with Python is you're not having to worry about memory, buffer overflow, buffer underflow. You're not having to worry about hardware level details. All that stuff is abstracted away from you. You could just focus on the thing you want to do, which is scraping a website or accessing an API, something like that. Now there's AI programming. There are tools that will, like GitHub's Copilot, Amazon has one. There's going to be more in the coming couple of years, and they're going to get a lot better. So it's been kind of discouraging to me. I spent 20 something years mastering a craft, and then this upstart VS Code extension does a lot of the work for me. I would say embrace it. You could focus more on what you want to do instead of how you want to do it. So you guys are poised perfectly to take advantage of this next revolution. Don't think you have to program everything in assembly. Don't think you have to program everything by hand. It still helps to learn that stuff, but I think you'll learn it by having the code generate for you. There's more resources now than ever. I encourage you to check out HackerRank. It's a great way of gamifying stuff. You can play around a lot with that. You can get points, solve problems. There's lots of online tutorials, YouTube. You can talk to ChatGPT. It can write the code for you. It can teach it to you. You can paste code in and have it explain it to you. And it's conversational. You can also have it review your code. So it could say things like, oh, you should add type hints, or you should add, have consistent naming for all of your variables, that sort of thing. It's very good for like a baseline code review. And if you're building things, there's actually a good example of this. Like someone already made some music, right? It used to be these tools didn't exist. Like you had to do everything yourself from scratch, and it was really hard. But now there's text to speech, there's speech to text, there's image generation. If you're making a game right now, there's so many different things you could take advantage of. You could have really cool atmospheric images that you generate and throw into your game fairly easily, where before you had to hire like an artist. If you haven't already, make a GitHub account and start contributing. There are also Discords. You can browse around. Like you want to have conversations with people that are also building stuff. I learned more in like 2 years working next to other engineers than I did in 10 years fiddling around by myself. It was a big difference. If you're wondering like, what can I do on GitHub? I think you've already, like seriously, you guys have done a very good job finding problems that are already in your domain of experience and working on it. But if you're wondering like, how can you contribute to other projects? Like you can always fix typos. I mean, you could fix typos in the Linux kernel if you wanted, and then then it's on your GitHub page. You've contributed to the Linux kernel. You can update READMEs. You can add type hinting. You can write tests for projects. Almost nobody likes writing tests, but I mean, if you submit a test to me in one of my projects, I'll bend over backwards to accept it, even if it's really crap code. And this gets you used to practicing Git, the Git workflow, GitHub. This makes you much more employable, like during an interview or during your first couple of weeks on the job. If you're already familiar with the stuff, it's gold. Part of the reason you'd want to talk to people is so you can find new tools. So try VS Code, try Obsidian, try different extensions. I saw you using Colab, try Jupyter Notebooks, try Dockerizing your application. There's lots of things you can play with, and almost every skill, like every minute you spend working on this will be valuable to you. And if you can find people who review your code, even if it's peers, they don't have to be super smart experts, but just go over it together. And this is how you get good at things. This is what I like about software, is you don't have to like go out in the sun and mix concrete and cut wood. Well, that stuff's great, but like you could just do stuff with your brain in the air conditioning. But have conversations. Like, don't be afraid to get philosophical. I've had an hour-long conversation about 20 lines of code, and I still remember it. It was like very eye-opening. And this is the last slide with any substance. There's a video I encourage you to watch called Myth of the Genius Programmer. And I've experienced this over and over and over again when dealing with new engineers, is they think like, I can't put my code on GitHub because it's bad, it's messy, I don't want other people to see it. Like programmers, they're so smart. Programmers are stupid. Like all code is crap. Like the first draft, even like Stephen King or Brandon Sanderson or Robert Heinlein, the authors, right? The first book draft they write is bad. They need editors. They need continuity editors. There's 20 people that'll like beta test a Brandon Sanderson book. And you need that for code too. Like almost all code is bugs. Code has no feelings. There's no ego. Don't worry about, when I read people's code, I'm not judging you. I'm like, wow, this person wrote code. It's like if you see like a fat person at the gym. Wow, like I have so much respect for that person because they're at least there doing something. So just keep revising, rewrite your project a couple of times, and projects are never finished. They're only abandoned. Like there's always more stuff that you could work on. And you guys have already conquered the biggest problem, which is, what can I do? Like every single one of you has a year's worth of work that I saw in your projects that you could spend doing it. That's great. I think that is the hardest problem. So I encourage you to do it and make lots of mistakes, and don't be afraid to publish it on GitHub. Because when I interview people, when I look at if they have a GitHub in their resume, first of all, if they don't, I'm curious, why not? And if they do, I check it out. And I'm like, how often are you contributing? How often are you pushing code? What do you have here? And if you create anything at all, just in general, not in just programming, but any kind of creation, you're already way outside of distribution. Most people will never create anything in their lives. So any effort you put into it is useful. And yeah, hopefully you can find some good memes on machine learning, AI. It's actually a fairly good way of learning some pretty complicated concepts that get distilled into a single meme. I'll end it here.
We're at the memes right now.
I have a rule. Every one of my presentations has to have at least one meme in it.
That's how I feel after this course.
That's great. No, thank you so much, Caleb. While we have Drew, Caleb, and Cheryl with us, if you guys, any of you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them. But really, thank you for your time, Cheryl, Caleb, Drew, and I know Brian just had to drop at 11, but thank you for his time as well. I'm glad, like, you guys stuck through, and kind of, there were times when you were like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do in my project, and whether it's going to come along or not. But what you guys presented today, from just like a week's work and a few hours work, really kind of establishes that you can learn like something as esoteric as you might have thought before the program, like the idea of you programming and solving something useful, right? So yeah, I hope you guys established that. Any questions, any comments you guys have while we have our guests, and before we kind of call it a day?
I would just like to give thanks to everyone that has put the time, and the students as well. It's been a great learning curve for everyone. I literally came here, not knowing the stuff I know now. Mr. Bandari, he's been very supportive of all of us. I really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.
Same. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity that you guys offer, especially to my classmates. Thank you so much for dealing with me, for 10 days. Thank you.
Awesome. I have a question just about kind of random, but like, what's the difference between Visual Studio Code and just Visual Studio? Is like code is just purely for coding, or?
Visual Studio is the like full-fledged Microsoft enterprise grade programming tool, and it feels very Microsoft. It feels like an 800-pound ninja gorilla. It's very cool. And VS Code is like a new generation of like JavaScript programmers got together and made something like fun and sleek and agile, but still pretty feature rich. Like Visual Studio is great for like C#, big projects, 10,000 lines. VS Code is great for like Python projects and JavaScript.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't really find like a straight up answer on the internet, really. But yeah, thank you everyone really for all your time and teachings and everything. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to say really, really great work to everybody. Just learning coding over over Zoom can be difficult, at least for me personally. And so I think like just getting into the setting, learning something and applying it and having a finished product that you present is a huge win. So great work to everybody. All the presentations were super awesome. And yeah, feel free to hit me up with any questions on LinkedIn. I'll put my email in here as well too, so you guys can hit me up there. But yeah.
Same. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There are people that will occasionally ask me for help, and they're like, hey, do all this stuff for me, and then email me the result. And I almost always ignore those people. And then every now and then, for every like 10 or 20 of those people, you'll find a person who's sincere and earnest. And they're like, I tried really hard to solve this problem. And here's the 3 things I did. But I wrote this and I tried to do it and I'm just stuck. Like, can you help me? And you'll find that people are generally very eager to help you if you're trying. Like, they'll meet you halfway. It's so good to see someone who like cares and likes to do what they do. So if you keep that in mind when you approach people, like you'll have a better time.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to echo that Caleb said is like the whole contributing a test to someone's project on GitHub, like that is huge. Like you could get so much traction just from doing that. Like spending a little bit of time learning about testing and then someone's project and then writing a test for it. It's like giving someone free lunch or something. So
I just have a question. How do you know, if you're like in cybersecurity and all that, how do you deal with like online anonymity? You know, like your name can't really be out there, right?
I mean, I guess it depends like what your goal is. Like are you talking about like in terms of GitHub?
Like everything pretty much, you know, like intelligence, stuff like that.
At this point, it's such a it's such a rabbit hole to go down, like just in terms of like, I mean, I've accepted for myself that I'm always going to be present on the internet in some way. There's no way I'm ever going to get out of that. So I think if you're starting from like if you're doing some kind of intelligence work and your goal is to start from there with like maintaining your anonymity, there's stuff you can do for sure. But I think for the normal person, it's a not realistic goal.
Yeah.
There's two types of security too. There's the gray hat security, or where you're giving people surprise pen tests, like they didn't engage you as a pen tester, but you're pen testing. Like that stuff is kind of morally hazardous. And that's when you need your secret identity. And that's also very hard to do. Like OPSEC is very hard to do properly. You will screw something up. You'll make a DNS request, not through your VPN. And that's all it takes, I think you were using Proton Mail, right? So yeah, if you're above board and you're legit and you're not trying to be a bad person, you're trying to be moral, then it's okay putting your name out there. In fact, used to be hackers, like internet denizens, had like groups that they were allegiant to, like Cult of the Dead Cow, Loft, Orion, like all of these guys, they you would like group together and you'd have like a pseudonymous relationship and you would publish as a group. Now everyone has their brand. It's your Twitter handle, right? It's your like Nostr pub key. It's your Telegram name. It's your LinkedIn. So everyone's like official now. I think the era of like hiding everything is kind of over.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
Yeah, and there is like this thick book on like how to become anonymous, which I have the most recent copy of. But when I kind of see it says like you have to install an operating system and compile it from scratch before you get complete anonymity. I kind of shy away from that. That's pretty hard to start with. I would love to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, sounds complicated.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah. I like how Caleb has already a whole alternative setup. Nice, cool, awesome. We are 10 minutes over, but thank you everyone, and congratulations, for great presentations and completing the program. Thank you again, our guests, and thank you, Cheryl and Growth Sector for making all this happen. Awesome. See you everyone. Take care and be in touch. Yeah. Bye.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Likewise.